Week 5 of the 2024 NFL season, where your Houston Texans seemingly turned their seasons and their misfortunes around. A 4-0 start to Coach Prime's second and well, he calls it his first season, but we all know he was hired in 2023 with the controversy of Tank Gate. Did they tank to get Shador Sanders number one overall? You got to go back into to that situation, right? So the Houston Texans had the first overall pick, but they in free agency took Tyler Huntley, the backup quarterback from the Baltimore Ravens. When you had the pick of the litter in 2023, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, you had Will Levis, Hendon Hooker. I mean, you had guys you could have got fourth, fifth round that could have been starting quarterbacks for this football team. They elected to go defense and then offense. I mean, they got a tight end at the number 2 pick overall. Is the speculations safe to say that, you know, quotation marks, Coach Prime and his staff and the ownership of the Houston Texans tanked on purpose the following year to be able to get the number 1 pick overall again to draft his son, Shador Sanders, in the first overall pick of this year's draft? Let's ask a fan right now. How you doing, miss?
Hello.
Do you think Coach Prime and the Houston Texans tanked the 2023 season to be able to draft Shador Sanders number 1 overall?
Yep.
Would you care to state why you feel this way?
You might think that's a smart move?
Elaborate.
I had the opportunity to get the best quarterback coming out the draft that we need.
And in a draft where you had Drake May and Khalid Williams, the Heisman Trophy winner of the 2022 season, you're calling Shador Sanders the best quarterback in the draft?
Yeah.
And why do you say that? Is it the stats that he put up in the 23 season, or do you just feel as though he was the better quarterback?
He was stat wise and all the way around the board as a good quarterback.
There you have it. Now, ma'am, are you a Houston Texans fan?
I am now.
There you have it. Coach Prime effect. It turns a Philadelphia Eagle fan into a Houston Texans fan. Although we're still rooting for those Philadelphia Eagles as well because we love our fans. Now, we are in week 5. It's been, you would think that everything is flying high in Houston with them starting 4-0, one of their best starts of their franchise history. Now, the thing is this though, it's been a bumpy road, right? It seemed like they just were the dominant team when it comes to the Tennessee Titans. They played them week 1 and then right away again week 4, and they dominated them in both of those matchups. But then there were stops at Washington and Indianapolis, all inside those 2 dubs against the Tennessee Titans. That one went into overtime, and they won by the hair of their chinny chin chin. Shador Sanders fumbles in overtime, but the defense held. Even though the Washington Commanders were in field goal range, they got a big time sack and knocked them out of field goal range, and Shador to Marvin Harrison Jr. for the walk off touchdown. But some kinks in the iron were shown through these tough 2 games that they had back to back with the Commanders and the Colts. It showed some weaknesses on defense, and it also showed some weaknesses on offense. When you go young the way they did, they remember this football team is based on first year and rookies. So when you're young like that in trenches, it's hard when you're going up against all pro guys, right? So we saw Chase Young get 8 sacks against the Houston Texans and that loss to the Washington Commanders when they took the loss in overtime. But before that, Chase Young dominated the football game. 8 sacks on rookie tackle Fothery. Then you saw the Indianapolis Colts dominate them at the line of scrimmage on offense and was able to run the ball effectively, and they limit them to really a low number of sacks in that ball game. Now they're going up against another team that has a really good pass rush in the Detroit Lions. As we go over their roster real fast, they're going up against guys that a team that has some really good edge rushers in this game as well. However, they are very young as well. So do you think that kind of balances itself out? Let's talk about where they're going to have to get strong at right away. Aiden Hutchinson, superstar DN out of Michigan, he was the number 2 overall pick. He is coming off the edge, and let's see what he's done in his career thus far. He has 2 sacks this year now. In his rookie campaign, he had 9.5, 5.5 last year, and 2 now. You know, he's been up and down, pretty solid though, but he's definitely a guy that's ceiling is very high right now. So they're gonna have to watch out for him, obviously. But they won when they drafted Will McDonald, the defensive end out of Iowa State. I mean, he was all everything last year in his rookie campaign. I mean, the awards, the numbers of things he's done. Let's first take a look at his trophy case. He did make the Pro Bowl last year, so you're dealing with a Pro Bowl player. He was the 2023 Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Best Defensive Lineman all in 2023. Not only was he that, his career stats, he had 23 sacks as a rookie. This guy gets to the quarterback. Right now, he's sitting at 3.5 in 4 games and 3 tackles for loss with 15 tackles right now. So Will McDonald is a force to be reckoned with. They also have one of Coach Prime's kids that was first players to get drafted as Coach Prime's uh, career as a college coach. They finally got a guy drafted, and we all know that was James Houston, and he's on superstar level right now, and he's on watch to be a Pro Bowler player. He's off an injury, he's back. They also got to worry about him on the outside at left outside linebacker. So when you're dealing with this Detroit Lions defense, their front 4 or front 7 is pretty solid. All right, but they are young. They're very young in that front 7. But Joey Porter Jr. is sitting on Pro Bowl status. He's changing himself into a shutdown corner. If you take a look at what he done in his first season. And this is the guy that's going to be responsible for Marvin Harrison. This man had 105 tackles, 7 tackles for loss as a slot corner in year 1. Joey Porter is now the number 1 corner in Detroit's secondary right now. They do have William Jackson, a veteran there, but they're very young too, with 2 rookies in Cam Hart, Storm Duck, and then you're looking at Okuda and Joey Porter. And the safety level, you got Andrew Makuba. They did draft the number 1 overall safety, number 2 overall safety in this year's draft by the rankings and power rankings of all these experts, right? And then they got Deshaun Elliott, the veteran back there. They call him Dark Knight. And then they picked up the tweener player and Damani Richardson, safety slash linebacker for Texas A&M. So they are young but talented in their defensive room. On the offensive side of things, you're gonna have to deal with Stetson Bennett, who nobody thought would be an NFL quarterback, but as it turns out, he's now the starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions. Sitting down Goff. Now look, in 2023, 37 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, 4,958 yards. This is a quarterback that surprised everybody with his stat line, 68% completion as a rookie. Right now, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and 995. So he's playing lights out again. So it seems like Stetson Bennett fooled everybody. And he's one of those players that you think they want him to have a great NFL career and end up having one. One of those, they just went up against a quarterback like that in Tanner McGee. Stetson Bennett is showing people that he was the force behind Georgia winning back-to-back championships. Simple as that. When it comes down to what they got to deal with in the backfield, obviously you got to deal with Deneric Prince, 6 foot, 220 pounds out of Tulsa. They did get younger. The running back Eric Gray is here as well, and Zach Moss they brought over from Buffalo. But look, listen, they got 2 young running backs that are in their second year. They're definitely 2 complete different running backs. You got a power back and Prince, and then Gray, you got a guy that can hit the edge and turn the corner. Both of them got really good speed. At the wide receiver position, St. Brown, is a slot demon. He's going to cause a lot of problems. Who's going to better cover him in the slot? Would it be Stingley, or would you prefer Stingley, your best corner, to be covering Jamison Williams, the superstar speed burner that's out there on the outside? But then they pick up Jaden Hazelwood, the former Ohio State wide receiver, transfer to Arkansas. Big body guy. This guy can get physical, and he has bunnies who can go get it. Tim Patrick, Van Jefferson, and then Jermaine Burton, the rookie they get out of Alabama. Georgia transfer to Alabama is sitting down on his roster as well. So they do have some talent, but they are young. Dalton Kincaid, it was arguably the number one tight end in last year's draft. D.W. Kincaid and the Notre Dame's Michael Myers. Kincaid can pose a lot of threat. Now, you would think when you're dealing with a guy like Dalton Kincaid, he's definitely a possession type tight end. He can catch the ball, he can block, do it all. But you wouldn't think he's going to better tear you up with speed, because at the linebacker position, we have one of the fastest linebackers in the league, and Demond Kennedy. Now, over the first 4 games, we've been seeing a whole lot of man-to-man coverage. We know what they want to do. We know they have the DNA of the best cornerback to ever lace it up and play in the NFL, and Coach Prime. So he wants that defense to be exactly like that. I think they are satisfied with what they're doing in their secondary, because last year they did not get any turnovers through INTs. This year they are leading the league in interceptions. Coach Kelly said, Coach Prime says he wants something done, we get it done for him. He challenged us to have the most interceptions as a team in the NFL this year, and we're doing that. We're going to go out there and try to make that goal possible. Now, when it comes down to offensive line, Joshua Gray, rookie at left tackle, they're in the same boat as we are. Christian Hayes, another rookie at left guard. At center, you're dealing with Frank Ragnow. He's a seasoned veteran at 28 years old. Right guard, you're looking at Nate Davis. He's 27, 80 overall, so he's a guy that's going to be worried about. And then they have the stud, Penny Sewell. This offensive line is solid, so now that tells you we're going to have some up and down fight going on with the trenches. Very young, both teams are very young. Both teams are very excited. Both teams are ready to get it in. In Detroit, coming up tonight at today at 1 p.m. on Ford Field, the game day, we will be having Houston versus the 2-2 Detroit Lions. All right, so Shiloh Sanders will have the microphone today. He will be mic'd up, and the running back Anthony Israel will be mic'd up for Houston Texans. When we come back, before the game and the kickoff start, we'll come back and we'll give some interviews with the coach and the players before the game starts. With that being said, this is Skibibbles, and I'm out.